Hello, welcome to the Grow Nutrition Business Live Show. I am so excited to be chatting today about a really important topic, more now than ever, because everyone's turning to virtual businesses and wanting to add nutrition coaching. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Grow Nutrition Business Live Show. Welcome to the show. I'm excited to have you on.
Thank you.
Yeah, so why don't you introduce yourself? And hey, Karen, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, my name is Cissie Wetmiller, and I live in Central Florida, in Lakeland to be particular. And in December of 2018, my husband and I we were at just a kind of like a crossroads point in our life, and his career was changing, and I had just become a stay-at-home mom. I had just had my first child, and my husband really had it in his heart to open a gym, and he had been in the fitness industry and had really loved that. And my background, we actually met in the gym that he used to be a head coach in. And so that just fitness and health runs deep for us. And so in December 2018, we started our own fitness business, and we actually trained out of the garage in our house for the first 9 months. And in September, we got our first location, and I actually at the time was working on getting certified to teach nutrition to our clients. So I was working on my certification through Precision Nutrition, and health has been something, and really holistic health, doing the right things to your body so that you can live in optimal health has been a passion of mine for probably over 10 years. And so I was super, super excited to be able to get this certification and officially begin helping people, because I had helped people and kind of been a voice in this area with my friends and family for years. But since we had our own business, I knew, like, I don't want to charge anyone. I don't want to, roll this out officially until I'm certified. And so that's what we did. So we were giving kind of to our members, we were giving, nutrition tips, healthy eating tips here and there throughout the first year of our but then in December 2019, so just about 3 months ago, I finished my certification with Precision Nutrition, and I was so excited to finish it. I had learned so much. I had grown so much personally, just my knowledge and my understanding of more of like the science behind nutrition. I feel like I really gained that from the course, and I was super excited to begin giving away what I had to give away, and in a more official way. Do you want me to keep going, or do you want
Yeah,
to interject for the more question?
well, first of all, Cissie, I didn't realize that you and your husband met at the gym, which is awesome. I love that. So clearly, you have a passion for nutrition and fitness and just helping people. You're sharing your story. You're kind of helping people on the side, just like informal advice. You're giving people support. Precision Nutrition is actually the certification that we recommend going through, because I think it's a really great habit-based approach and not trying to change everything at every time. I'm sure you learned a ton from it. I took it myself personally, and I think it's a really great course. We make every nutrition coach take it out at our HQ location. You launched this program, right? So now you're like, yes, we can offer nutrition. I've got this certification. And I will say in Precision Nutrition in the course, it does say a couple times, like look at the laws, which I'll post a link below, so in the chat, so people can see like, where's my state? What are my state laws? And I don't think everyone is super forefront with like how strict the laws are. And essentially that's why I had you on, because since you had some great success stories launching a nutrition challenge in January, right? Which I think most people did launch a nutrition challenge in January. And then people saw good results. Challenge wraps up, and then what happens?
So yeah, we had some great success, and I actually was coaching outside of our gym. I was coaching probably 5 or 6 people on the side, and they were all people that were looking to lose weight. And, I was enjoying pouring into them and being a support to them, being a friend, encouragement, being a source of good information for them. And, so I started like officially the beginning of January. That's when our challenge started. But then the middle of February, so about 6 weeks into me kind of officially coaching, I got an email from someone that I didn't know. And, my husband and I, at the beginning of the year, we had signs made for the back of our cars, like advertisements put on our back windows of our cars, just to kind of help get our name out there more. And one of the things on there was nutrition coaching that we were advertising that we can offer to people. And so, so I got an email, and I just thought, hey, a few people had emailed me and said, we saw your car around town, could you tell me more about nutrition coaching? And so I would respond to those people. And so about the middle of February, I got an email from a woman, and she asked me, she was like, I saw that you offer, one-on-one nutrition coaching. Could you tell me a little bit more about that? Well, of course, being a business owner and being new in this industry, I was like, yes, okay, and I just
Let's talk.
in town and like, yeah, I can offer this and that, and just a total reboot to your health, and it's going to be awesome, and blah 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 blah. And so she, there was a few days that went by. She sent me another email. She asked me about micronutrient counting, which I was like, does this woman mean macronutrient counting? Like, what is she talking about? And I was like, no, like, I can't really coach you through micronutrient counting. You'd have to be, under the care of your doctor, and you'd have to be getting blood panels drawn and all that kind of stuff. I was like, but I do know about macronutrient counting. But I will say, according to my certification, precision nutrition does not encourage people to do, the counting the macros on the app. I know about that, but that's personally not the approach that I take with clients. Precision really kind of helps people to learn things that are more sustainable long term, with like using your hand for portion sizes, engaging things like that, listening to your body, all that stuff. So I told her, I was like, I can coach you through macronutrient counting, but anyway, so I kept directing this woman to have a conversation with me on the phone. And, you never know who you're talking to over email or whatever. And I just felt more comfortable with talking on the phone. So anyways, we scheduled a phone call, and she kind of asked me a few pointed questions, and I asked her where she found us. And she said, I was just doing some research on the internet, blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. And so she asked me about a few different things. She asked me if I provide meal plans. I told her that I did not. She asked me about macronutrient counting, micronutrient counting, and basically in the conversation, I told her my heart is to educate people in healthy habits that they can carry on for the rest of their life. I don't like putting people on these, that's just not me. I've never done it that way. And I find that if people can change little steps here and there, that will carry you the long haul a lot better than being on some tedious plan. So anyway, she was kind of like, thank you very much. And she hung up. And I was like, okay. Still to this day, I have this woman as a lead in in our system that we keep track of all of our clients and all of our leads. And so I put her number and her name in there. And anyway, so I just wrote it off, whatever. Maybe I'll hear back from her. Maybe I won't. Okay, whatever. But then, do you want me to go into the rest of the story, or do you have any questions?
I think and you guys can chime in. You guys who are listening, chime in the chat with questions, and I'll kind of interject, Cissie, as we go through with the questions that you guys are asking. But so you have this conversation with this lady via email, transition to a phone conversation. You're super clear with boundaries, right? Like, hey, I don't give meal plans. I'm not micronutrient counting you. Like, we're focusing on healthy habits. Great. Then what happens?
So last Sunday, which was March 8th, only 10 days ago. We were up, typical slow Sunday morning. I went and checked our mail, and I got this like registered letter in the mail addressed to me. And when I opened it, I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever had those moments where you're like, oh my gosh, like, whoa, my husband was sitting in a chair reading in our living room, and I opened it, and I mean, I was like, oh my God. I mean, like, I couldn't talk, and I was shocked out of my mind. And my husband was like, what is going on? And I was just like reading. I'm like, what? I mean, just totally dumbfounded.
So what did the letter say?
So the letter was addressed to me from the Florida Department of Health. And basically, when you get something like that in the mail, if you've ever had an experience like that, you kind of like don't even know where to start reading. It's all confusing. You're just shocked. And I read over something that said that I had been, the word wasn't found guilty of, but essentially you have been found practicing nutrition coaching, nutrition counseling, and dietetics without a license. And it was all of, these different things. And then it went into a big paragraph where this is when I began to connect the dots from this woman I was emailing with and talked on the phone to, because there were specific quotes from our conversation and from my emails that I had written to her. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so anyways, I kept reading, and then the next, there was another page that kind of shared more information. And I was totally blindsided, shocked, confused. I kind of started crying, but I was so shocked. I was like, I did not know I was doing anything wrong. And I felt ashamed, because I want to obey the law, and have never, in pursuing health and wanting to impart that to others, there was never any point where I thought what I was doing was wrong, or that I could get in trouble for doing it. And I really I told my husband, I said, I feel ashamed. I feel like I'm in trouble. And because the letter was very serious, and it said, if you do not comply, basically it was a cease and desist letter. So it said, this is what you are doing. You have to cease and desist now. And if you do not do that, then further legal charges can be taken against you. Well, I was like, I don't even know, like, how did they find me? I'm okay that they found me. Obviously I was doing something wrong, but like, what in the world? Like, are people like stalking me? Like, where did this come from? When they started investigating me, I had only been doing this for 6 weeks. And I could go on and on, but I was completely shocked out of my mind. So
I think so this is not the first story that I've heard, which is why I was like, you know what? More and more gyms right now are moving their programs virtually. They're adding nutrition coaching to save their membership, which I think is important to provide accountability and support. But I also know that so many people, especially in Florida and other red states, have no idea that they're not allowed to legally charge for nutrition coaching without a dietitian being involved, which is exactly what happened with you, right?
Yes.
So Ashley asked, were you aware of specific state requirements regarding nutrition coaching before receiving this letter?
I wasn't, and I can kind of talk into that. So I am a very good student. I read that book, and I did everything, my textbook, I did everything that was asked. I did the homework assignments. I took it very seriously. I had to get babysitters for my son so I could go off and study. And I remember a few times throughout my reading where there would be like, it would be talking about something, and it would be like, now you can't do, medical nutritional therapy. I don't really remember it going into what that was, but it would say like, that's beyond your scope of practice. So I remember a few times where it would say, it would give an example, and it would say, this is beyond your scope of practice, or maybe even, you need to look up your state laws for blah, 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 blah. But what I will say is that I didn't go to university to be able to give this away to people. My university was precision nutrition. That was my authority and my covering. And I feel like, man, I wish that they had made a bigger deal about that. Like at the beginning of the book, before everything I read was become a health coach, start your business now, learn how to be the best ever, and this is the best program to be a part of. And, I was just like, yes, this is awesome. I'm so excited. And, I've even gone back and reread, the business portion of, the textbook. And I've gone back through and I'm like, man, I was doing everything they coached. I was not stepping outside and doing something that they said, this is illegal. If you do it, you aren't licensed to do that. I was doing what they taught, and I was completely unaware of state laws. Now, I went to look at a blog that they had on their website of who can give nutrition advice or something like that. There's an online blog that they had about that. And I was reading it through. Yes. Okay, I was aware. Everything was just building the reader up, building the precision nutrition certified coach up. You can do this. You are equipped for this. Yes. And then there was like a little line at the bottom that was like, and look here for your state guidelines.
And that's the problem is not just that certification. I honestly think precision nutrition has a great certification. And if you can legally give nutrition advice, like that is a great cert. We have a partnership with them. You can get the certification at any time through our partnership. The problem is in Florida and other red states, you legally cannot charge for nutrition services unless you are working with a dietitian, are a dietitian, or are implementing a program that's overseen by a dietitian. So, your hands are kind of tied unless you have a licensed person that you're working with if you are not personally a licensed person. So John asked, were you working with HSN? No, she was not. I was connected after the cease and desist letter to just give some advice of, hey, this is what I would recommend. And, charging for nutrition services at this point is something I would wait to obviously do. There's a lot of stuff going on in Florida right now with nutrition laws. I actually sent out an email before this live and someone responded back like, hey, the law changed. I'm like, well, the law did change, but it still is not it's the proposal went into effect, but it's not actually changed yet. So even if you are in Florida right now, in other red states, every state is a little bit different with what they can and can't do. In Florida, it's one of the most strict states. So I've worked with CrossFit gyms and they were charged $10,000 because they were providing nutrition out of the scope. There was a huge, conversation with Heather. I can't remember her last name right now, but she had a nutrition practice in California, moved it to Florida, got a cease and desist, hired a lawyer. She got a ton of press conference, but at the end of the day, she doesn't have a nutrition practice right now because she still legally cannot practice nutrition and charge for it without having a dietitian involved. And with so many gyms right now moving virtually because they can't stay open, you really need to consider what you are doing and making sure that you're looking at your state laws to ensure you're practicing within your scope.
Yes. And I think too, for someone like me that was, I grew up an athlete. I was, my husband and I met in a CrossFit gym, probably 8 years ago. I've been in, holistic health and nutrition. That's been a passion of mine. But as someone new to the industry, I would have appreciated more if there had been a bigger deal made about the state laws, because everything I got from my certification was like heroing my cause, if that's a word, just like, you got this, go. I would have appreciated if there had been like, hold on, before you go any further, put your textbook down, go to this website.
Check out and see what you can and cannot do.
Your state is red. This is what this means, AKA, in case you do not know, you can't do this and charge for it.
So, couple things.
That was very helpful for me. Okay, wow. I need to step back a little bit and get some more information on this.
Absolutely. And, I want to draw attention to a couple of things because even with our program, there's scope, right? Like medical nutrition therapy. You cannot tell someone you're going to cure coronavirus with nutrition coaching if you, no matter what, that's silly. But diabetes, you can't say you're going to cure diabetes or treat diabetes if you are not licensed. And that's across the board, no matter what state you're in. Also, meal plans, that's another big thing. Most states do not allow you to write meal plans unless you are licensed. So if you are not licensed and not a dietitian and did not go to college for nutrition and finish a certification or credentialing program to become a registered dietitian, don't do that. But in red states, it's even more strict, right? Like people using our program do not provide, they can't change the meal plans. They don't provide medical nutrition therapy. They can work and do nutrition coaching and give general advice. They have us overseeing their program as resources for complicated cases. We work with clients directly that are complicated cases. So they're good to go. We have dietitians in almost every state at this point using the program and working with us, which is amazing. But for nutrition coaches that have taken some type of online certification, I think Precision Nutrition is the gold standard of a non-collegiate level nutrition certification, but there are many different ones out there. No matter what certification you have, you cannot legally give advice and charge for it if you are in some certain states. And I think that's, at the end of the day, you and I talked and I was like, what does success look like for you after this? And you said, I want to educate people so they don't become in the same situation that I'm in right now.
Yes. Yeah. It's not fun to get, it's not fun to get a letter like that. And luckily our business was still small. So, we're having to pause and, I had to tell all of my clients, I cannot, we end now. I'll let you know when we can begin again, but we're done. But, in a way, I'm thankful that it happened now because what if we had been rocking along for 5 years or something? And, what if we had a really successful nutrition coaching practice as a part of our gym and it, it had to stop immediately? What if that was half of our income, every month? Like that would have been devastating and really hard to recover from. And so I'm thankful that it happened now, but my heart is just I'm so glad that I was certified through Precision. I mean, they are great. I learned so much, but I don't think that they're trying to mislead people, but I think that there needs to be more like, hey, if you're going to come into this field, you need to know the rules of the game.
I see it all the time. Honestly, there's
for real, not just like, here's a link, hope you go look at it. There's some laws on that website. No, like you need to know the rules,
There's gym owners in our area that are like within a couple miles of us that are practicing nutrition coaching, charging for services that I know don't have dietitians. I'm staying in my lane. I'm not worried about them, but all it takes is a call to the Department of Health to essentially, that's what someone did for you, right? They turned you in for the Department of Health and then you get a cease and desist letter. And unfortunately, a lot of times when I end up talking to gym owners, they've already gotten that and now they're like, oh crap, what do I do now? Luckily, I talked to a gym owner this morning in Naples, and he was like, hey Nicole, I know the laws are really strict here. We want to get nutrition coaching up and running. We're good to go. Karen, you're good. Don't worry. Your Precision Nutrition is a great certification. You have a team of dietitians that wrote your program. You're using our program. You're completely fine. Don't worry. Scope of practice with nutrition coaching. You're not providing medical nutrition therapy. We've told you that a million times, as well as everyone. But you're fine. Don't worry. Give your nutrition coaching. You're good. It's the people that are not partnered with a dietitian or are not using a program written by a dietitian that are going to find themselves in trouble because they do not have someone licensed that's working with them. And in a lot of red states, you just can't do it.
Right.
Cissie, what other things, obviously you've reached out to some lawyers at this point, and we don't need to go into exactly what you're doing, but I think it's important for people to know, like, you aren't giving out customized meal plans. You aren't giving out micronutrient amounts, and that's even more concerning to me because there's so many certifications out there where people are like prescribing hormone nutrition for hormones, which is even more, in my opinion, medical nutrition therapy, and really guiding people down a super path, like strict path that is completely out of the scope. So, if this ends up getting to someone watching this and they're a nutrition client, they should be asking, where am I getting my nutrition advice from? Is this person even qualified to give me nutrition advice? Because at the end of the day, there's a lot of people that call themselves nutritionists, which isn't in many states a legally backed term. So you can call yourself a nutritionist with literally no credentials, and most people don't even know that. I mean, a lot of nutrition coaches using our program are calling themselves nutrition coaches, not nutritionists, because in some states it's okay, some states it's not. But I would be looking at where you're getting nutrition advice from, which I think is part of why it's so confusing for clients, because they're being told so many different things. There's so many different diets out there. You've got all these overnight experts that have abs, that have no certifications at all, that are giving advice that haven't gotten in trouble yet. And you are just trying to do the right thing. Help people.
My husband, he's so sweet. I mean, he thinks that he's like, you're just the best. And, he was like, babe, before I got certified, you don't need to give that away. You need to charge for it. And I would say, no, I can't. I can't do, sure, I know it, I know it. And I believe that I have good information. I'm not trying to lead anyone astray, but I really did want to do the right thing and not charge until I was officially, I knew that I was not a licensed nutritionist or a registered dietitian. I knew that. I knew you have a certification. You didn't go to school for 4 or 6 years to get this. And even sometimes people would ask me now, are you a nutritionist? No, very different. I am a nutrition coach. I did a certification that took me 9 months. I don't know. So yeah, what was your question? I think it's so important to know where you're getting your information from. And I guess what was really shocking to me was I felt like I knew the boundaries from what I had read in pursuit. I wasn't stepping over boundaries and being like, if you follow me, I will lead you to, cure your disease. I was not doing that with anyone. So I was like, how did I get in trouble? But this is the thing. I got in trouble because I was as I began to research the law, it was if you're even telling someone to drink more water and you're charging for them for that, you are not allowed to do that. The most basic level of nutrition advice, accountability, anything like that, you're not allowed. So, I'm thankful that I didn't get fined. I'm really thankful for that. Because I know some people get a big fine right away, and I kind of just got my hand slapped. But, right now what we're looking at is trying to find, we're talking to a few different attorneys, but just trying to find an attorney that can help us understand the law so that we can stay within it.
I mean, at this point, the way the law is, you literally cannot do anything regarding nutrition if you're not involved with the dietitian. It's changing, but who knows until when that actual change will go into effect. And even with that actual change, medical nutrition therapy, so telling someone that they can manage their pancreatitis, cancer, kidney disease, diabetes with nutrition is not going to be in the scope for anyone that's not a licensed dietitian. Whether you work with our program or not, you're not going to be able to do that. Unless you're a licensed dietitian, essentially. I have many conversations with dietitians. I'm a part of the academy, the Dietitian Academy. I'm on the board for nutrition entrepreneurs. I want to empower dietitians to build successful nutrition businesses, and CrossFit, especially because I am a CrossFit affiliate as well. They've bashed dietitians because of how strict these laws are in a lot of states, and Florida definitely has gotten a lot of exposure for how strict our states are. But instead of gyms and going back and forth battling with dietitians, what we should be doing is working together. Hey, can you have a awesome dietitian that you can refer complicated cases to? Can they work with you so you can help clients and provide support and accountability to them? Can you work together? Absolutely. And I think There just needs to be some middle ground, which we haven't found yet. And unfortunately, most people are not aware of the laws like you weren't. And the goal of today was really just to open people's eyes to like, hey, your business is moving online, which is another whole topic with HSN. We don't allow gyms using our program to do virtual nutrition coaching like beyond states because there's a lot of laws with telehealth and virtual nutrition coaching, and I'm not willing to put anything that we've built at risk for another gym that wants to go, see clients in New York or another or a red state, right? So work within people within your community. There are thousands of people that need help with nutrition now more than ever, but you need to make sure that you're doing it within your scope, right? I mean, precision nutrition is the largest nutrition certification out there. Like they have an amazing cert. But I think it's important to really dive into what are your state laws, what can you do and what can you not do. And unfortunately, in Florida, your hands are very tied. And if you want to run nutrition coaching, you have to have dietitian involved,
Yes.
unfortunately.
I just want people to know that. I just feel like, I don't know, I feel like my motives were so pure. And I got
clearly, you just want to help people. And
yeah.
I think, every nutrition coach, successful nutrition coach, obviously they have a passion for nutrition and helping people. And whether you have the best intentions or not, unfortunately, the way the laws are written, it doesn't really matter what your intentions are or how amazing a nutrition coach you are or how amazing the results are that you give people because they could put it to an end real quick. So I'm glad we were able to kind of have you on the call. I know kind of your next steps are figuring out from lawyers like, hey, and I don't think we do even have a timeline of when the Florida laws change, but all the other red states out there, they're still red. The laws aren't even in the process of being changed. So just it's really important that people know.
I will say this part of, this virus, having this happen, the nutrition coaching thing last week and this virus, we're trying to get our taxes sent off to our CPA, all of that kind of stuff right now. But we're trying to find an attorney, for when the laws do change, what does that mean? Just some legal advice to help us be able to understand the law so that we can obey the law. And then, I'm not afraid to say it. We are, talking about looking into your program, to see if that would be the right step for us and a right partnership for us going forward. So that's kind of where we are right now. It stinks to have, had a hard stop with this, but we're really finding good from this situation. We know that the Lord is going before us and He's leading the way. So we're thankful.
Yeah, and you know what? You guys are doing the right thing, and this might put a temporary halt on you helping people with their nutrition, but at the end of the day, we'll figure it out. And any support, I mean, we were talking earlier today, just, hey, how do we transition our business virtually? Because that, I think, is the number one conversation in every gym owner, boutique fitness owner is having right now, because whether or not you like it, you're likely going to have to move your clients virtually. And, I think that's really, really important. If you're listening to this and you have no idea how to do that, we have a ton of free help on our website under the Get Free Help tab, under Grow Your Nutrition Business. I'll put the link below this. But Cissie, thank you so much for taking the time to come on. I feel like your story is going to impact a lot more people. It's not the first time I've heard this story. You're not the first email, unfortunately. And I am a dietitian. I earned those credentials, but I also think that there needs to be a middle ground with helping people see amazing results and help them provide healthy habits while staying within the scope, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Again, if you need anything from us, please let us know. Thank you guys for watching. Again, if you guys have any questions about your specific state laws, I'm going to put the link to the map, the licensure map on this little comment. So I think that's important for you to look at so that you can just educate yourself with what is legal and what is not in your state. All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Amen.
Bye, Cissie.
Thank you. Bye-bye.